Joe Lo, the scammer who was hunted down by agencies all over the world because he stole $5 billion. But the most interesting part of the story is how he used the money. He basically used it to become the most popular man in the world. But to understand all that, first you gotta understand that Joe Lo had a problem. Back when he was young in Malaysia, that boy had paper. He said, "Mommy, Daddy, we rich?" They said, "Yo, son. So rich, we sending you to school in England." They sent him to school in England with other rich kids around his age. But these kids were a different kind of rich. Like the kids of billionaires, prime ministers. They said, "Joe Lo." And Joe said, "Huh?" They said, "Why you only got $1,000 for your lunch? Are you broke?" So Joe did what most people in this situation would do. He capped. He said, no, this money is so I can stand on it. Stand on my money, I look taller. Y'all see my new car? Joe spent every cent that his parents sent him to look rich, buying cars, throwing parties. At a certain point, his parents couldn't keep up. So Joe had to start scamming, but in like small ways. If he couldn't pay for a party venue, he just wouldn't pay it for months until they was calling him, say, "Yo, Joe, give us our cash." He like, "No, it's coming, it's coming." His friend said, "Joe, who you talking to?" He said, "I was talking to my dad." I said, "My new yacht, it's coming, it's coming." So people started thinking he was a prince from Malaysia. That's how much money he was spending. And so because everybody thought he was a prince, he starts making connections, namely to the stepson of a high-ranking Malaysian official. His name is Najib, and he's very important to the story. Joe Lo tells him, "Najib, I figured something out." He says, "Through my school connections with some Saudi princes, I found out that a lot of countries in the Middle East have something called a sovereign wealth fund, which basically means taxes go into this fund and that money is used to invest for the country so the country could become rich." Najib said, "Those big words sounded good. Let's do it. And you can run it." Joe Lo runs a sovereign wealth fund. It's a hit. Everyone's like, "Yo, Malaysia finna get some stacks." Najib looks great. So great, he becomes the prime minister of Malaysia because he takes all the credit. But Joe Lo let him take all the credit. Joe Lo was just thinking smart because now the prime minister of Malaysia is locked in. He said, "Joe Lo, you can have whatever you need." Joe Lo says, "Yeah, I'm going to take the $1 billion that's in the fund and I'm going to invest it." Prime minister says, "Of course." Joe Lo says, "All right, but by invest, I mean invest $700 million in my own pocket and $300 million in other places." The prime minister said, "You say something?" Joe Lo said, "Oh, I thought you left." Nothing. So Joe Lo just steals $700 million. He gives the prime minister some money just in case he asks some questions. And then it was on and popping. That boy starts throwing party after party. Celebrities like, "Who that?" He said, "It's me, Joe Lo. Y'all trying to hang out?" Celebrity said, "No, we don't know you." He said, "Y'all want some money?" They said, "Yup, let's party." Usher takes some dollars. He said, "Luda takes some dollars. Busta takes some dollars. Paris Hilton, ooh, I can't keep him off me, but I already got a girl. Her name Miranda Kerr. I bought her $8 million in jewelry." Leonardo DiCaprio said, "Hey, Joe, can I have some money?" Joe said, "How much you need?" Leo said, $100 million. Joe said, Leo said, $100 million. I'm shooting a movie. So Joe had an idea. He said, "I'm making all this cash, but people are going to start asking questions. So I got to start making money in legit ways." So he starts investing in movie companies, and he gives Leonardo DiCaprio and Martin Scorsese $100 million to shoot The Wolf of Wall Street. Leonardo DiCaprio even personally thanks Joe after he wins a Golden Globe Award for the movie. Joe said, "This is the happiest moment of my life." Here's where it starts to get wicked. This boy was popping bottles. He was a mystery to the world. Nobody knew where he came from, but everybody knew he had a lot of money. But he was running out fast. So what did he do? Well, he went back to the fund and steals $4 billion from Malaysia's sovereign wealth fund. These are Malaysian tax dollars. And he does it with the help of Goldman Sachs, one of America's most popular banking investment firms. But since he's taking so much money from Malaysians, the Malaysian citizens aren't seeing the money. So they said, "Yo, where's the money?" Najib, the prime minister, said, "Where's Joe?" They said, "He partying with the Kardashians. He just bought Kim Kardashian a Ferrari for her birthday." The prime minister said. Interpol, which is basically like the FBI for the world, comes in and says, "Najib, what's going on?" Najib said, "Nothing." But suddenly somebody who worked for the fund couldn't take all the stealing. So they emailed everything that Najib and Joe Lo were doing to the people. The Malaysian people were outraged. Najib had the audacity to try to run again. They said, "Yeah, run from prison. You're going to jail." Police seized $300 million in drip, fashion, jewelry from this dude. But now it's time for the big one. Where's Joe Lo? Joe Lo was gone. And that's what makes this story so incredible. Joe Lo gets away, but he does it cleverly. Listen closely. If he's in Malaysia, he's going to jail. So he leaves Malaysia. If he's in America, he's in trouble. Now, step 2, deal with America. Because wherever you are in the world, Americans are all about their paper and they will find you. So he lets America take like all his assets, which is like $100 million. They're like, okay, we want some more paper though. So he gives Americans like $1 billion saying, oh, my bad. And now you know the American government does not care. But to still look good, they still say, okay, he's still a criminal, wanted on like other charges. But we're just not going to go looking for him. The Goldman Sachs guy, who I believe was the CEO of Goldman Sachs, jail. And Jho Low runs away to China. Everybody said, China? China said, we don't know what y'all talking about, because it's embarrassing to protect a fugitive of his caliber. They said, oh. But it's reported that he's sliding some government officials in China some dollars. And well, that kind of sucks for the people of Malaysia, because he still has hundreds of millions of dollars of their money. And he got away.